So you're drinking some tea?
Yes, I'm drinking some tea. I yelled a lot yesterday at the Renaissance Fair. So
What kind of tea you got?
oh, just Earl Grey honey.
Nice.
Good old standard.
Good combo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, always honey. Honestly, anytime I try to have sugar in tea now, it just tastes gross.
I have gotten to the point now where I don't have sugar or anything in tea anymore. But I also have gotten in the last year or so, I've gotten on like a kick with tea. Like I've been buying like bags of like
fancy
loose leaf tea. Like I have a tea infuser mug and shit, so like it's gone off the rails.
Yeah, I guess I should have figured that when you asked me what kind of tea it was. Like, it's tea.
Yeah.
I'm either drinking this or Irish breakfast. So
fair enough. So I guess maybe this question won't be anything, but I put something in the chat because I was like, okay, I got to remember this. So have you ever had I think it's called lapsang tea?
Oh, yeah. Barbecue sauce. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I know what you're talking
so you do know what I'm talking about.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've definitely had that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I bought myself like a bag of lapsang, and I opened it up. I'm just like, what does that smell like? I was like, oh God, it smells like barbecue sauce.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
It's it doesn't taste like barbecue sauce.
No, if I remember correctly, it's like very woody.
It's interesting actually. So, this just before this, Steve and I were just kind of chatting a little bit, and I made beer, and when I was drinking the tea, it occurred to me what the tea, at least this particular brand of lapsang tastes to me, is it tastes like the unfermented, like the sugary, like beer wort, like not obviously the sugary part, but like the kind of like smell of it and taste of it for some reason, like reminds me a lot of beer wort. It's really weird. I was like, this seems very familiar, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Beer wort. That's what it tastes like to me.
Interesting. I don't know what that smells or tastes like, so I'll take your word for it.
It's hard to describe if you've never.
It's like lapsang.
It's like lapsang. There you go. It's like lapsang. But yeah. So how was the Renaissance Fair? By the way, still. I think we talked about this last year. Still haven't been to one, but
yeah. I mean, it was fun as always. You got
your giant turkey leg.
Giant turkey leg, pickle wrapped in jerky. Very important.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Pickle wrapped in jerky.
Yeah, turkey wrapped pickle.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like pickles a lot, obviously. So
yeah, I do too. I never occurred to me to wrap it. I mean, I've had pickles in multiple different ways, but never with jerky wrapped around it. That's a new one for me.
Good.
I guess it's not conceptually that different from bacon wrapped pickle, but
it's not. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. I get the teriyaki jerky.
Okay.
Extra good.
I can see how that would be very delicious.
Sweet and salty,
You know what? It's a classic combination. Classic combination. But yeah, I cannot say that I've ever heard of jerky wrapped pickle.
It's not even something they really offer. It's like it's a pickle and jerky stand, right? But like the first time I went back as an adult, I think I met the owner of because there's multiple stands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you're just talking to an employee. But one time I met the owner and he was like, hey, listen, if you want a treat, buy a pickle and jerky and wrap it. It's like clearly he's just trying to sell more pickles, right?
Yeah.
But it was good.
This is some secret menu shit right
here. It is literally secret menu shit.
It's like ordering the McGangbang at McDonald's. That, by the way, I found out about that, and I have been ordering whenever I'm on the road, if I need take a road trip somewhere and we stop at McDonald's, I'm 9 times out of 10 I'm ordering myself a McChicken and a McDouble, and I'm taking that McDouble, splitting it up, and sticking that McChicken right in the center of it. Boy, is that a good sandwich. I don't know. Some weird about it, but it seems to work. So
yeah, I can see that. Chicken and beef, though. Ooh.
I mean, yeah, but it's McDonald's chicken and McDonald's beef, which
that's true.
Functionally tastes the same.
Salt.
It tastes like McDonald's grease. That's what it tastes like. It's good. It's good. It is better than the sum of its parts, I will say. It's just one of those things you're just like, why is this tasty? But it is. It's just, the magic.
Not to be an ad for McDonald's, but I'm personally a fan of the Big Mac still.
Yeah, I know we talked about that a couple podcasts ago.
Oh, right,
that's
right.
Yeah, it's You know, it's a good sandwich, man. You know,
Damn good sandwich. Yeah.
People don't sleep on the Big Mac. Don't sleep
Terrible.
on the Big Mac. Terrible for you.
Yeah, but tasty.
Yes.
So, do we want to talk about some of your music or something before we start?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, but I have a couple things.
Okay, sure.
So, first of all, I looked it up last time because we were talking about RimWorld and Prison Architect last time, and I was editing the podcast, a little bit ago, and it was like I was like they're too similar. Like, this can't be a coincidence. I have to I got to do the research on this. Turns out Prison Architect was first.
I can believe that.
RimWorld, the guy, because he's not he was like, he knew what he wanted to do from a gameplay perspective, but he was not that much of an artist. So he basically just as a placeholder, essentially copied the Prison Architect guys, and then never got around to doing new art. So he was just like, I guess this is just the game now.
Yeah,
but so that is how it came about. It was not a coincidence. It was just kind of as an element of laziness, just kind of got around to you know what?
Whatever.
That's whatever.
Good enough. It is good enough.
I mean, yeah, RimWorld's a hugely I know about RimWorld, so that means it's penetrated into my sphere of things. But and from everything I understand, it's just it's almost like a better Prison Architect. So good on him, right?
I mean, yeah, it's more like a more simplified version of Dwarf Fortress.
Yeah, that's what I understand it as.
Yeah. it is similar to Prison Architect in some ways. Not really.
I mean, in the sense that it's I guess it's kind of the opposite, because in Prison Architect, you're not so much directly managing the prisoners, whereas in RimWorld, you are more actively,
No, not really.
Okay.
No.
I lied. I haven't played the game, so I don't know.
Yeah. They're still mostly independent of you. Mm-hmm. You just kind of very, very loosely give them
guess it's you have a different relationship towards your prisoners.
It's just a whole different. Versus... it's not really. It's I wouldn't really call the game similar at all, honestly.
All right. Well, fair enough.
Yeah, the art styles make it seem like they're very similar, and the fact that you're a god looking over at a bunch of people, mm-hmm. but the gameplay is not the same at all. Okay,
fair enough. Yeah. So very, yeah. I guess that's the thing. Is I always saw it, just kind of took for granted. It's okay, it's going to be in a lot of ways similar to Prison Architect.
It's kind of like the difference between Roller Coaster Tycoon and Sim City, if that makes sense.
That, you know what? That's a good analogy.
It's they seem like they would be very, very similar, but once you play them, it's those games aren't the same at all.
Yes, very different metas.
Yes, exactly. And then I see here you've written down other things.
I have written down some other things.
I do not have an answer to that question.
You don't,
because we're watching it as a group, and so we have kind of. I guess the answer is that we stopped watching it. So that's your answer. We kind of just. Yeah. It's hard to get four of us in a room together. So
okay,
that's
just because others can't actually physically see the screen that we're looking at. The question I was going to ask Steven, something we occasionally take for granted, and I do my best to fix in editing as much as humanly possible, but Rings of Power was going to ask Steven, is Rings of Power any good? Apparently he stopped watching it, so the end.
Yes, I have not.
How about Hot D, House of the Dragon?
Oh, okay, sure, yeah. Sorry, I guess you're right, yeah, Hot D, yeah.
I've seen so many people reference it like that I
also stopped watching, actually.
So, okay, that's pretty much all I needed to know.
Yeah. House of the Dragon is certainly better, I think, than Rings of Power, but it doesn't help that I know. It's I don't know. It's I know what happens already.
Yeah.
It's I don't know if I knew that, spoiler alert, but if I knew that, Bran ended up on the Iron Throne and Daenerys dies and etc., right? It's I probably would have stopped watching Game of Thrones too way earlier. So
fair. Yeah, to some degree, I was watching the rest of Game of Thrones to find out how it ends, quote unquote. Functionally at this point, I guess probably actually how it ends, since unlikely to get the rest of the books. But
yeah, I think the books will be different, just out of necessity.
Yeah. And will they ever be finished by George R.R. Martin?
Did you hear about the Jon Snow show?
No,
they're just moving ahead with a sequel to Game of Thrones. And it's going to be John of Thrones. John of Thrones.
No,
John of Thrones.
Can they call it that? That's what they should call it, John of Thrones.
It's just Jon Snow, but it has Tyrion in it again, apparently.
Okay.
So I'm hoping it's just Tyrion goes up to the wall. I'm sorry, have you not seen all of Game of Thrones?
No, I have.
Oh, okay.
I have. No. Yeah, no. What I was going to ask is, I was does it also have Kit Harington? Is it?
Well, yeah, exactly. That's
okay. Good. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Well, because you specified Tyrion.
It's the
and
Jon
I'm just
Snow show. Yeah, I figured that
but
was.
you did specify Tyrion, so I was just like, hang on, Steve.
In addition to Kit Harington,
they did.
We're also getting.
Yes.
His name.
Fuck. Oh my god, that's terrible.
Yes, yes, it's very terrible.
Fucking Peter Dinklage.
Jinx.
Jeez. We're very predictable, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you know what? I could be down for that. I really enjoyed.
Listen, if it's Tyrion just like coming up to the wall and being like, "Hey, everyone left that hated you, so just like come back and like be king." Actually, it's like I'm down if that's what it is.
Yeah.
Just like retcon the ending.
Yeah.
Like,
just fucking toss it out.
Oh no, your brother died from a heart attack. Oh whoa.
Oh no.
Guess you're gonna have to come back down.
Oh yeah. Avenge his memory. Also, be the thing that we should have ended the show with anyway.
Exactly.
But
we got there, hopefully.
Okay. Yeah.
Eventually.
No, I have to keep an eye out for that. So the other thing, I left a note for this because we talked a little bit last time. We got off way deep on a tangent about the Wachowskis and some of their shit. And I guess the fact that I maybe just realized that I like a lot of their stuff, even though people don't. There's a ton of stuff that people are like, nah, that sucks. And I'm just like, no, it doesn't suck. It's great. I think I figured it out. I think I get it. I think it's because they're basically like, to me, like, after having just been like rubbing my nose in anime for like the past like year and a half or so, because I just like, that's what I felt like watching, I think that basically what the Wachowskis are making in almost all of the media that they produce is essentially live action anime, which I can understand why people find kind of cringy. But at the same time, I'm like, I feel like this is probably scratching that same itch for me, like it's like the same level of like somewhat ridiculousness paired with like very seriousness and like absolutely no acknowledgement that either is out of place with the former. And I think that I love it and I'm here for it. I think that's what I like. Because I was thinking about Sense8 and I was thinking about like, why do I like this show? Like, because by all accounts, I get why people think it's kind of weird and schlocky and dumb. But I'm like, I think it's kind of like, it almost feels like an anime premise, like if they had made an anime about Sense8, I feel like it would have been better received.
Yeah, I definitely think the the Animatrix is like one of the best iterations of the Wachowski stuff. Specifically because I agree, like they do make live action anime, and because of that, they will always be limited by reality.
Yeah, no, and also to some degree, like there's been many attempts to make live action anime, and by and large, it I feel like fits in kind of an uncanny valley where it's just
it's terrible.
Yeah, and I guess because, like, I mean, Speed Racer aside, because Speed Racer is literally
but like
adaptation of an anime.
The Death Note adaptation, the like,
But like, Sense8 like could have been an anime, and in a lot of ways, the kind of insanity of the premise almost lends itself better to some type of animated style versus trying to do it for real. But then they just did it, and I'm just like, man. Jesus Christ, like, okay, So anyway, just wanted to a light bulb clicked in my head, and I was just like, I think that's what it is. And I also can understand why people are like, why they watch it and they get kind of a feeling of just like, because I do think it is to some degree, it's a little bit uncanny, because it is trying to do something that perhaps would be better served by an animated style, but they just do it live action anyway. And
it's been a long time since I've watched Sense8, so I can't remember why I didn't like it, but it wasn't that it didn't, I don't know, I don't feel like it was that it felt like anime. I think it was because it was like incoherent to some degree, but like I can't remember specifically, so I don't want to no,
it's all right, I won't put you on the spot for that.
I don't actually know what my complaints about that show anymore are. And I'm not fucking rewatching that goddamn show.
It's fine, you don't have to.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Good. Fucking good. All right. So yeah, other than that, man, what else has been going on? Not much. Like I said, I've just been knee deep in watching anime. I watched fucking what's the name?
Yeah, what anime have you watched? Yeah,
recently. So I finished Ace of the Diamond from last time.
Cool.
So that which took forever, but it was great and I enjoyed it. But we watched Devil as a Part-Timer.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
It's like a reverse isekai.
It's fun.
It's fun. It was good. I actually I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then we watched what was it? Kaguya-Sama Love is War.
Oh God. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
It is good.
It's real good.
Is
this going to be another one of those like Fruits Basket where you're just like, I've heard too many like 13-year-olds tell me to watch this that I don't want to watch this?
No. I don't know. I feel like clips of that show. I don't know. You know how I am. I feel like clips of that show give me an appreciation for it without having to have to actually watch it.
No, and I mean, honestly, in a lot of ways, it's very similar to like a couple other ones that I've watched. Actually, I mean, honestly, it's very similar to Psyche K in that like most of the show's vignettes. Like the last season of that show is just like chef's kiss, so good. But like that the last bit of it is a more coherent story than the rest of it, which is mostly just a clip show. So like there's a payoff, right? Like
eventually,
they set up,
because I do feel like having watched many clips of the show from browsing, Reddit anime and stuff, it's like I have seen probably all the good stuff to a degree.
I mean, maybe depends on, I guess I'm always a fan of like watching a thing because ultimately in a lot of ways, even if the parts are good, often the whole is, and then this is one of those ones where I think that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, despite the parts themselves being good. And then we're watching Toradora right now in the middle of that. Haven't quite finished that, but that's another good one. That was good. And then we watched, what did we just watch? We watched Gargantia on the Verduous Planet.
Oh, Gargantia. I never watched that one, but people said it was good.
It is.
Right?
Yeah. It is.
Oh, no. Wait a sec. I was thinking of something totally different. This anime. I definitely watched some of this, but I think I got out before it got bad. Did it get bad? Here's the thing, because I feel like I did hear that complaint that people are like, I think what happened is I get the feeling that there was a lot of like rushing going on in the second season. Yeah. Well, there's some,
which to me means nothing if I can't notice it. Like I feel like there was probably some time jumps in there that like manga readers are like, the fuck? But like for me, who's never read it, I don't care. I'm just like, oh, okay. Like as long as it remains coherent and like it isn't like really obvious that they're skipping shit, like doesn't really bother. And sometimes even when it is obvious that they're skipping shit, sometimes I'm like, you know what? I could see what you were skipping and I could see why you're skipping it. So like, let's keep it moving. But no, I mean, like I thought it was coherent, I thought it got a little rushed, but like not in a way that really bothered me. And it was kind of like, I was kind of ready for it to be finished anyway, which maybe is an indictment a little bit. I will say, I guess I'll say this. I thought that the follow-up like movie, like the 2-part movie thing.
Yeah, I was about to say,
was the best part of the anime. The anime wasn't bad per se. It wasn't great. It was a little bit of a mindfuck, certainly a passable like mecha anime. I enjoyed it. Really liked the movie. Movie was like, I wish that the whole anime was at the level of the movie, because the movie was like, this is really good. I'm really, really enjoying this.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Other than that, yeah, I do have a shit ton of music if you want to take a look at that. I've been busy, Steven. I don't know what happened, but I just like, so there's one, Lying in Dreams, Perfect Machine, Favorite Record, Morning Rush, Test Track, which you should not ignore, Firing Line, and that's 6. And you've already listened to Wanton Destruction.
Okay, I have.
Yeah. That was the one that I sent you that's like drafts.
Yep. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
You did listen to this, I think.
I definitely did. Yes, I remember.
What did you think of that, by the way? I was actually pretty pleased with myself when I made that.
I mean, it sounds like drafts to a degree. It's a little slower.
Yes, that was what I mean. Like, I played the guitars and I played the bass on that. Yeah. So nice, I feel pretty happy about how that came out. Like I don't usually do tappy stuff, like because I'm insecure about my guitar playing abilities. But I did it for that. I did the tappy tappies, and I was surprised at how well it turned out. So I was a little bit happy on that one.
And so what? And so this next one, Into the Firing Line, or the Firing Line?
Yeah, this one's going on the black metal album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. It's a little more melodic, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you could have a ballad on a black metal album, I guess this is the ballad.
Yeah, and also I think the production's a little clearer too, right?
So I'm fixing my production on all the black metal stuff now because I've learned things. I will be doing this going forward, and I'm going to fix anything else that's on this album.
Just unacceptable. Fixing black metal production.
Too good. Too good.
Way too good. I'm trying. I think it's like what? Ulver sounds has this kind of sound on some of their stuff. Their early stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's that like what is it? Let me try and find a good example of it. Yeah, I guess it's the guitar, like the backing guitar, I guess.
Okay.
Call it. Yeah, it's like the high pitched one going.
Mm-hmm.
Like you start going like a lot at it, like around 359 here. You skip to there on the Firing Line.
Yeah, 359. By the way, I love that transition around like 350, just like with like the
with
kind
the
of
drums,
like halftime drums. It's like it's like
yeah, it's good.
But yeah, so I've had those lyrics sitting around since probably 2008, 2009. It was originally meant to be a thrash metal song. Like I was listening to a shit ton of And Justice for All from Metallica, and like One and all that shit, and like I wrote those lyrics a million years ago intending it to be some kind of thrash metal song. Never did anything with them. I wrote multiple iterations of this song, never was happy with any of them. I finally was just like, you know what, fuck it, I have these just sitting around doing nothing, I'm making a black metal song out of them. There it is. I finally. So it's a little thrashier than some of the other stuff that I've written, but like that's where that's coming from, is because this was originally conceived as a thrash metal song.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, you can definitely hear that to a certain extent. It definitely doesn't sound like as black as some of your other black metal songs.
It's like gray metal.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, test track. I got a new thing.
What, a new little toy
to help me do glitchy shit.
You got those. You're spinning those discs, I see.
Yeah, that was actually just like part of a drum loop that I was using. But it worked, so I was like, all right, cool, why not?
The glitching seems to like blow out my like headphones a little bit, though.
Interesting.
To go through, it's not as like I don't know if I whatever you're using. What are you using to glitch? Like, do that.
So it's this plugin called Shaperbox, which basically like it allows you to do a whole bunch of different stuff. But one of the things it does allow you to do is essentially manipulate time a little bit by like it'll just call back to previous bits of it, and you can pick exactly where it flips to. So you can get those kind of like bits where it kind of just and you can actually hear that much more in the second track, Morning Rush. Like this one has much more obvious. That because like this first one was just me kind of fucking around trying to get things figured out, hence test track. But I thought it was cool, so I posted it. But like right at like 15 seconds, like I start messing around with like a lot of the time like
Yeah, I'm listening to Morning Rush now too.
Also, I guess you're right because you mentioned last podcast around 15 seconds. That's where I like start doing shit in my
yeah. Well, I mean that's pretty common,
I guess, I literally did it in this one exactly at 15 seconds, so I guess you're not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got a style.
It's literally not intentional.
Well, yes, that's what makes it your style.
Fair enough.
Is it feels right, so you just do it a lot, which is good. You don't want to fight that instinct. Yeah, I like whatever you did on Morning Rush, I like it a lot better than Test Track.
Yeah, this is much more refined. I was going very Graham Cartna on purpose on this.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that, yeah. It's been a long time since I've listened to Graham Cartna, though, to be honest. So
it's been a long time since I have, too, but, like, this is the stuff that I remember.
Yeah, Graham Cartna, I think, would go more high-pitched.
And more chiptune-y.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, chiptune-y. This is much more, it is still kind of 8-bit, though, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely feels video gamey.
Yeah, I wasn't going quite as far on that one.
Yeah, that's good. I like the beats on both of those. I don't like whatever where does it happen on Test Track? Yeah, I guess it's the snare.
And where is it?
Just like I don't know, constantly.
Hmm.
Okay, here we go. Like 38 to 41.
38 to 41.
38, yeah. It's like, I don't know. Especially right at 38. I guess a little before 38 even too. It's like that. It's kind of a snare sound, right? But it's like almost staticky.
So I'll tell you what. Let me explain a little bit about what's going on in there, and maybe this is the bass sound is being it's being like filtered in like a rhythmic fashion. So it's like, you know, like that bass sound is actually just like and you can hear it sometimes because I stop the filtering in certain places, and you could hear it's just like it's a long tone. But it's being filtered rhythmically to give kind of a beat. And I've layered that with noise that like comes up during it. And that noise is the sound of like jangling keys. I don't know if that's what you're hearing alongside like the snare that's like blowing out your headphones. But I'm wondering if that might be part of it, because there's just too much shit in that frequency range, and it's interfering with each other and getting a little bit too.
Yeah, that one's definitely a little more messy.
It's messy, yeah. I liked the sound of it, but it was me playing around with a lot of different toys at once instead of kind of being focused. Mm-hmm. So then, favorite record is just like a chill hop. It's, you know, fucking lo-fi beats. I downloaded a free what the fuck is it called? Orchestra plugin, and like one of the things it had is those like fast like string stabs. Like, zing, zing. Really, really liked that. And so I wanted to do something with that. And that was this.
String stabs?
Yeah, like the...
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah.
I don't know what to call that. String stabs.
Yeah, I don't know either. Yep, that's some lo-fi, all right.
Those lo-fi beats to hip-hop.
You could definitely, you should try and get that on there.
Maybe I could.
I'm sure you could.
I don't know how one gets on there.
You probably have to message them and be like, yo, can you play my song on your radio? And you'd be like, yeah, as long as you don't like make me pay you. And you'll be like, okay, sure.
Yeah, I guess I won't make you pay me.
Okay, yes. A Perfect Machine.
Yes. So this is the newest black metal track.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that really starts out immediately, huh?
Yeah, this one I wanted to hit hard.
I mean, that is very machiney.
And certainly taking a lot of cues from like Migwa in terms of like their... Yeah. Which, you know,
I definitely my ear for metal is not really very well developed, so you know
it's fine. Yeah, I know when I had you listen to that you were not a tremendous fan of Migwa, so I can imagine you were not a tremendous fan of this.
It just sounded like generic metal. Ooh. I'm sorry. I tried my best.
No, it's legitimate. Like. I honestly, like, for the album that I'm working on, I wanted something that was just like punchy and hard, most likely to start the album off. Just something that's just like you jump into it, it goes hard immediately and stays hard the whole time, instead of some of the other stuff where it's like it's a little bit more like.
Yeah, I mean, I like the arpeggio thing you do at like 135. That's cool. But yeah, I mean, it's I just don't have an ear for like every metal band sounds the same to me anyway. Honestly, like I listen to no metal, right? Like ever.
Yeah.
So it's just like, that sounds like metal to me. That's, I mean, it doesn't sound bad. It sounds good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just like, no, that's what that is.
It's legitimate. It's legitimate. You know, it's funny because like, you know, I mean, I know we've talked about this, but like you basically like in a lot of ways got me into some of these harder genres of metal.
Yeah. And then I was like, I don't actually like any of them.
And I was just like, oh, I llove all of this. I'm going to keep listening to this forever.
They're fine. Metal's fine. It's just like, I don't know. I have a really hard time differentiating when it's like that intense. It's just like,
I like making black metal a lot more than I like listening to a lot of the bands.
I think that's probably true for a lot of black metal bands.
You know, because I mean, honestly and truly, like, you know, I've played around with a lot of genres of music to try and like, you know, become an artist, right? And black metal is the one that I feel like I have the most knack for. Like, I can play the guitars for black metal pretty well. I can play bass for black metal pretty well. I can do the metals, like I could do the black metal screams, you know, I think you will agree.
Yes, oh sure, definitely. I mean, you definitely are already an artist.
And so like because I've tried doing death metal and I'm not talented enough for death metal. I wish I was, you know. I don't want to make worse death metal just because I feel like making death metal, whereas like black metal I feel like I can make pretty good pretty good black metal with my current skill set, and I'm pretty happy with the stuff that I put out. I would be very surprised if I wasn't making some stuff that's kind of generic, because if I'm really like pushing the boundaries, like, oh man, maybe I should put more thought into this, you know, like maybe I really have something. But like, you know, the fact that if I can make something that sounds like other black metal bands, and you're not like, oh, that sounds amateurish as shit, and you're like, no, that sounds like somebody else's professionally produced black metal, I'm like, all right, I'll take that. I will take that all the way to the bank. All right, last one. I'm really interested in what you think about this. Is Lying in Dreams.
Man, those last like, oh my god, it's like auto-played Burning the Dead for Power immediately next.
I did the same thing to me.
Oh my god, you said. The last like 3 seconds of Lying in Dreams reminded me 100% of playing FTL, by the way.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I've
never played FTL, so no, it was not intentional. Okay,
well, you nailed what the whole soundtrack to that song sounds like right at the end there.
Interesting. So what did you think?
It was good. Who did the lyrics there?
Okay,
you did?
Cool. No. Okay, this is actually even more interesting than that. So I fell down a rabbit hole.
AI generated? Sorry, I'll stop guessing.
No, you're right, but let me get to it. So, yes. Okay, so I listen to, nowadays I listen to several music production YouTubers because I make music and I want to learn shit. And the best way to learn is fucking YouTube. So YouTube. There's this one guy, David Hillowitz, and he often buys weird shit, to make music with. And he bought this thing, which was essentially like, it's like a little like, you know what a stylophone is?
Nope.
Okay. It's basically like a little like thing, and you take literally a stylus, hence stylophone, and you touch like metal contacts that look like a little keyboard, and it plays the notes. But this particular one is an anime girl. Okay.
Sure.
So, and it plays, it does different like syllables, and it like sings the different syllables, and, by doing this anyway. So strange little instrument, but that wasn't the thing. It was basically like, so there was that, and it was just like, he's like, but then I found out that there's this thing, I think Yamaha made it, called Vocaloid, which is a voice synthesizer for singing, right? Like it's a singing synthesizer, and you could basically plug in whatever, like whatever lyrics you want and whatever notes you want, and it will just sing them with like different AI generated voices. And I thought, well, that's really cool. And I looked it up, and it's like $550. And I'm like, well, okay, so that's cool. I'm not going to buy that. So then I was looking, around, and there's like a couple of other ones that are like, there's like M Voice, which I tried out, which is okay. It's decent. But the free version, not amazing. And then the paid version is again, I think kind of spendy. And then there's something called Synthesizer V, and I downloaded the free version of it. And I tried it out for a bit, but it doesn't integrate into like the rest of your software. Like you have to buy the pro version for that, right? So I looked up, but the free version of it, like I downloaded all of like the free voices for it and tried it out, and wildly impressive, right? I was like, oh, this is better than the $500 one. And this one is free, so this is pretty cool. But then I looked at it, like it's like, I think it was like $80 for the paid version of it, and
bad.
I was just like, okay, all right, Synthesizer V, you've got my attention. So I was like, yeah, fuck it. You know what? I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna play around with this. And holy shit, man! When I made that track, I was just like, that is remarkably good synthesized AI voice. Like there's a particular one, because like some of them are not so great, but there's a particular one called Solaria, which is their new one that, and this is, we do this so often. This is not an ad, not endorsed. It's just, this is a cool thing that, I started playing around with. But like this one, it's like, it's more tuned to like English vocals, first of all, because like some of the other voice banks are for specifically Japanese vocals. So they sound Japanese when you put them, put English lyrics through them. But this one is specifically, for English vocals, and very much specifically for like, these kind of like full range, like really like, powerful like vocals. And like, again, just, it's this, that's actually just the free version of the voice. There is a paid version of the voice, but that's the whole nother can of worms. But like even the free version, I was just like, that's good enough. That's all I need. So yeah, I was really stoked. I mean, there's processing on that, right? Like I processed that the same way that I would process like a human female singer, you know, is I went through the same kind of steps that I would normally use of like, if I was going to like take somebody's vocal performance and then, you know, get it ready for a you know, like a track, I would follow those same steps. And it comes out remarkably human sounding.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, we're just meat flapping air. So I don't see how a metal thing flapping air is any different ultimately. So, you know.
Mm-hmm. And what's amazing is you can basically, not only can you, so you can set whatever notes you want. Obviously, like all of these singers have a range to some degree. They can sing outside their range, but it will sound more robotic and weird. But this is, you know, like if you put it within their range, it sounds better. But you can pretty much type whatever you want, and you can even go more granular than that and, you know, get into phonemes. So like if you want somebody to pronounce something a specific way, you know, as they're singing it, you can do that, and you can split, you know, the notes up between different phonemes. So you can like get what I had where I'm like, you know, she's like kind of climbing higher in the, you know, like the lyric, you know, she's like, lost. Like that was off key, but you get the point. You know, it's like it goes up, right? It's crazy. It's fucking nuts. I went from thinking that we weren't there yet, like that we didn't have like, you know, because I knew that like, you know, you had AI voices, which, you know, you can get them to say whatever you want, but they're kind of garbage, you know, like, and some of them are okay, but like whatever. To being like, it's like, so it's like, of course we don't have like, you know, good singing AI voices yet. I mean, that would be ridiculous. How could we possibly have that too? Not only learning that it exists, but there's multiple versions of it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, we've been there. We've been there for a while.
Yeah, well, today,
Welcome.
well, not today, but there was a today when I learned that, and it was about 2 weeks ago today's that I learned that.
I mean, we're at the point where you could probably generate an AI video of a woman saying things with that.
Yeah, see, it's funny because like I knew we were pretty far down the road on like video stuff, but I didn't really realize how far we were down the road for singing specifically, because I feel like singing is one of those ones where it's just like,
did you ever know about
hard.
Hatsune Miku?
No, I guess I don't. Maybe this is just a world that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, let's see here. Hatsune Miku is a artificial singer, a Vocaloid, I guess.
This is Vocaloid. Okay, so I only found out about
2007.
Yeah, so I only found out about her because of this whole thing.
Really?
So that little stylophone thing that I was talking about is a like a cheap toy version of her voice.
Oh, okay.
And Vocaloid is that $500 software that I was talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, that's been around for a while. You need to watch that thing I just posted in the Discord, by the way.
Let me take a look. I'll have to put this in the
yes,
show. But
please do. This is not an advertisement, even though it literally is that.
Okay, hang on. Dominoes.
Have you heard of Hatsune Miku?
Oh my god.
Hatsune Miku.
That's literally what it is like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, okay. You don't have to watch the whole thing, but it is. There's one particular moment at like 120 here where he stands back to back with Miku.
Okay, let me look at that. 120. Hang on.
The back-to-back photo is so good. Very cool.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Welcome. We've been in the future for a long time.
Yeah. I apologize for not realizing that we were in the future.
Yeah.
The future had not reached me, Steven. I was not aware. So anyway,
I mean, the fact that you were able to so easily create live human vocals essentially should tell you just how far we are.
It's insane. Yeah. I was completely blown away by how good it is. Mm-hmm. I'm just like,
I honestly thought that maybe you'd gotten like an actual person to sing.
Well, that was that was the reaction I was obviously hoping for.
Yeah,
that you were like, oh, who did you get?
Yeah, who'd you get? Yeah.
Who did I get? I got fucking
Hatsune Miku.
That's who I got. Yeah, Hatsune Miku. I love the beginning of that where he's like there was like a pause.
The first time he says it, Hatsune Miku.
And he says, Hatsune Miku exists. As it's like yes, Hatsune Miku exists.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, honestly, like all of this, this shit. What I really want to do is like, you know, the beginning to fucking what's it called? I'm gonna be more. Don't worry, I'll be more articulate in just 2 seconds. The beginning of Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, like the opening, you know that song.
Yes, of course. Yes, I can hear it in my head very clearly.
Yeah, it's like, I want to make... Yeah, that. I want to make shit like that, you know? And obviously, like, you need a female vocalist for that. And I was just like, so when I found this, I'm just like, oh shit, maybe I can make stuff like that now. Because I don't know what genre of music that is, and I can't seem to find any more of it, so maybe I'll just have to fucking make some more of it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So look out for that. I
would love to hear more of that stuff.
I need to really dissect that and figure out how to make that properly, and I will get back to you. All right, man. Yeah, so shit, that was a lot of diverging on music, but most of this will get cut, which is fine because we were listening for a long time, so that's cool. But last episode, we got all Cronenberged up. So now I'm even more Cronenberged.
You're super Cronenberg.
Filled with Cronenberginess. We watched 2 Cronenberg movies. We watched Videodrome and The Fly. Steven, do you have a preference for which one we start with?
The Fly first, maybe.
All right, let's do Fly first. That was actually, I'm surprised by that order, but let's go with it. Fly first.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Maybe I won't be surprised, but I don't know. We'll see. But okay, Fly first. So, all right.
What do you think?
The Fly. Whew. So, okay, first thing, I think this is the Cronenberg that I was expecting.
Yes.
Like, you know, I mentioned last time, and it's all very fresh in my mind because I think I literally just finished up the episode like yesterday. But, you know, like, Cronenberg, as I said last time, comes with a lot of cultural attachments, especially with regards to body horror. And so, you know, there was a certain expectation when I was watching a Cronenberg film that, like, I'm going to get real gross body horror. And The Fly delivers really gross body horror. Oh boy, does it. especially at the end, man. Oh yes. God. Like with all like the fucking like all of like his just fucking shit falling off of him and just like, oh Jesus Christ. Like, so okay. Profoundly gross movie. Just very, very gross. Like even, you know, I mean, you kind of, I think you kind of softballed it a little bit, even in the beginning, where you're like, oh, it's like a romantic comedy for like the first 45 minutes. It's like, I mean, they turn a chimpanzee inside out within the first like 15 to 20. So like, you know, maybe slow your roll there, Stephen.
Yeah, but it's you know, whatever, you know.
Whatever. They just turn a chimpanzee inside out.
They're giving you a taste. But, you know, then you get a good like 30 minutes or something before anything really super gross happens.
I guess the first...
And most of the super grossness really only happens in the last like 15 minutes, really.
I mean, super grossness, yes. I mean, it's pretty gross 45 minutes in and beyond, you know? Like, I mean,
sure,
his appearance is progressively more horrifying, and it starts pretty gross, and it gets grosser with time. Like... anything with fingernails is always going to just, like, make my skin crawl. So when he's peeling off fingernails, I'm already just like,
Oh, okay. Yeah, well.
Fingernails are no good. No bueno for me. Like, you start peeling off fingernails, I'm already upset, you know? Like, you were, you know, last time you with, like, the special, like, fingernails for me are the special, you know? They're just like,
okay. Yeah.
Oh, God, I can't. Partially, maybe, because I've had a fingernail experience the time that I cut the end of my thumb off. And just for those in the audience, not maybe this is exaggerating a little bit. I mean, it was just the very tip of my thumb, but still watching the very tip of your thumb fall off and go down the drain, you know, fingernail and all. It's gross. I'm just like, oh God, I have a very relatable experience towards it. So yes. Gross, the teeth thing, gross, you know, his fucking, like, medicine cabinet full of body parts, gross, you know, it was gross. It was a gross movie. It was a profoundly gross movie.
What'd you think of the Brundle?
The Brundle.
Yeah, Mr. Seth.
Yes, he, you know.
Goldblum,
he's great in this, obviously.
Isn't he, though? I think it's one of his best roles.
It doesn't surprise me. He's very, like, he's very emotive, right? You know, it's just like, it's hard to pull off the kind of like nervous desperation that he gives off. And he's just like, I guess I'll say two things, right? Like, because on the one hand, like his character is, I guess, like, is childish a good word for it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
He's kind of childish. So in a certain way, he's to some degree, like his motives are a little bit annoying at times, but like
he's immature.
He's immature. Yeah. And so his motives for things are, I guess he acts very immaturely. And that was something I was kind of thinking about today of like, what is it about his character that kind of, I'm just like, but like he portrays that character like expertly, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Expertly. Like this is certainly like a masterclass in like how to portray, you know, like a character in a believable way.
Yeah. Without him being annoying. Mm-hmm. Right. There's that like very, because like he's supposed to be a little annoying.
Yes. He's not,
but so many actors will go too far and actually become annoying.
Yeah.
Right. And there's like a subtle distinction there where you have to actually not be annoying. Right. Because then you're actually just annoying.
Yeah. No, he's not Jared Leto.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
He's not.
There's a subtle, like, there's a quiet desperation to his like energy.
Mm-hmm. It's like you can tell he's trying to like, because he's simultaneously portraying like a feeling of like trying to cope with his surroundings, where at the same time being very, very scared of what is happening to him. And that comes across. So Jeff Goldblum, very good in this. Very good. And I mean, you know, like you also get very, you know, like I think maybe somewhat less in this than some of the other ones we've watched, but you still get, I mean, Cronenberg is still doing an excellent directing job, obviously, in this, you know?
Yes.
I think maybe I might end up having more to say on the Videodrome front. I think in some places, but sure. still like, you know, he brings across the correct things in each scene. But yeah, it's like, I do wonder though, how much of this movie was lost because it's so well known. Like, there was no surprises in this movie for me. Like, I kind of had an idea of what it was going to do from pretty much start to finish, but that's because I kind of know what The Fly is, you know? Like, it's one of those films that, like, has been talked about in the background for, like, the better part of my life, that, like, I just kind of, like, know what the plot of, like, I knew what the plot of The Fly was, basically, without ever watching the movie.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. I could believe that.
So, like, you know, when I saw The Fly, I was like, oh, okay, so this is the part where he gets spliced with the fly, you know? It's just like, this is when it's gonna happen now, you know? And, like, I do wonder what this, because this is a remake, right?
It is?
It is, yeah, of a 1958 movie, The Fly, with Vincent Price and some others. So, I do wonder... Yeah. I do wonder, again, to what degree, like, this movie, again, was like, oh, you know, this is just, they're retelling this story, you know? Like, so I do wonder what the experience was for audiences at the time versus me now out in 2022, basically 100% knowing exactly what was going to happen in this movie, you know?
Like, at every turn, like, how about, like, when he seems to be okay at first? You were like, oh, that's not...
Well, yeah, I mean, I know he's going to turn into like this horrible growth. Like, I mean, I guess I didn't realize that, like, how slow the progression was, but, like, you know, when he was okay at first, I was just like, oh, okay, so there's going to be like an upswing phase and then it's going to just go down fucking hill.
Okay, yeah.
You know? Yeah, because I mean, I knew where it ended, right? I mean, like, I think I've seen like pictures of, like, you know, the ending bit of The Fly, you know? So I was aware of, I knew where we were going to begin. I knew where we were going to go. Some of the in-between bits, you know, I didn't know. And I think I also knew something about, like, the pregnancy thing, because I knew about The Fly too, and that, like it's his son or whatever. I know that's not.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know there was a Fly too.
Well, it's not Cronenberg, and by and large, people, like, some people, so it is a, like, it's like a beloved, like, cult classic for some people, but for most people, it's a schlocky piece of garbage. So
I might like that then.
Yeah. So there is a Fly too. It's not Cronenberg, somebody else, and it follows, like, the son. But yeah, so I knew some of these things going in. And so, like, for me, it just felt like kind of like, instead of just like watching a movie and being like, oh wow, what's going to happen next, in the way that Videodrome was for me and Existence was for me, like, this one was much more of a, like, I'm now filling in the blanks of a thing that I had already known about. It was like I had the picture and I'm coloring it in now. I'm like, oh, this is how this whole thing goes, which is always a different experience.
Yeah, sure. I get that.
I mean, obviously you've watched I mean, like, how was it on a rewatch? Like,
I mean, I do find that the beginning part a little slow. Obviously, you know,
knowing what you're going to get to, yeah.
But you know, once he starts doing the like, once he says Brundlefly, right? Like that's when the movie really like goes. I feel so. You know, and I love the effects are so good, right?
The effects are excellent. Yeah.
At every part.
You know, for a movie of its time, you know, it's right up there in terms of practical effects. You know, it's certainly like, you know, because sometimes practical effects of that era, like they're gross, but like they're also obviously prosthetic, and you're just kind of like, okay, you know. Whereas this one, like, it's just like, jeez, man, like I know that like this is a guy in a suit, but oh boy, that's disgusting. You know, like it's still in this, you know, like nearly freaking 40 years later, it still achieves the thing. So very impressive in that regard. But yeah, you know, I think that like plot wise, like obviously like it's an interesting vignette, right? You know, like it goes through the steps, right? Like, you know, it's just like it's this descent into becoming this like, you know, disgusting creature. I don't really know what there is in the movie beyond that, you know, and which is interesting because like this is one of the more highly rated of the Cronenberg films, which I get from certainly an effects perspective, and I get certainly from a you know, like an acting perspective. So I mean, you know, it's a good movie.
I think it's his most digestible.
Yeah, you know,
movie.
I think
to some degree. I haven't seen all of his movies, so you know, I'm sure there may be something out there that maybe is more straightforward. But you're right. This is like that's why I described the first part as romantic comedy, right? Because it really does feel like almost there's another director kind of like just being like, no. I know you want to do this shot, but like let's do a more bland, like let's just do a straight shot here.
Yeah, he's not on full display on this one until the latter half. Yeah, no, I mean, like,
then it really goes.
You know, it really goes. You know, it's so it was. Yeah, like I said, it's a good movie, but I don't feel like it really like. I don't know that it's going to stick with me as much as other ones, because it just doesn't have any kind of like staying power in my mind. Like there's no unanswered questions here for me. You know, it's just like, other than like, why didn't he try to use the machine to unsplice him from the fly? You know, like, I guess he sort of did, but it's just like, you know, you racked up the DNA for you racked up the DNA for the fly. Just tell the computer, undo, please. You know, like, but that's
yeah, but he can't.
I know. I mean, that's just a silly. You know, it's more me being sarcastic than anything else. But like, you know, I didn't leave the movie with any like, you know, lingering feelings or unanswered questions. It was just kind of like, yep, all right, that's pretty much how that would go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much. It's a full film.
It's a full film. It's tragic and it's horrifying, but I don't know that it has the same staying power as, like, for instance, like Existence, you know, like has raised more interesting questions, or at least brought more to my mind than this one does.
Yeah, but it was I'm reading about it. The film was a commercial, the biggest of Cronenberg's career. Like, this is the most successful. Yeah, because it's the most like, and people didn't know, like you were saying earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, how many people watch the original? Maybe some, you know, but like, it's not like it is today. You know, it's like if you didn't watch the movie at the time, you know, I mean, it was. I guess. I mean, yeah, obviously, like, you know,
that transformation scene.
Oh God,
would be ridiculous if you'd never. And this is, you know, 1986. So
yeah, no, I mean, like, honestly, in the transformation scene, I was genuinely shocked by like how well that holds up, and like, God, just how disgusting it is, you know, just like the chunks of flesh falling off, like, and then, you know, the fucking, you know, him being fused with the telepod at the end. It's just like,
yes.
Oh
yeah. Oh. And then like having her kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's brutal.
Yeah. Now I will say that scene, just because of my own, you know, cultural baggage of, you know, like, cause you know, as you know, because of like the last however long, you know, been watching a lot of anime, and obviously like the first thing that fucking brought to mind, because any scene like that always does, is, you know, Full Metal Alchemist, the Chimera scene.
Oh God, no! I tried my best to not remember that scene exists.
I can't not remember that scene.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually just go ahead and not think about it still.
Yeah, because I mean, like, every time I see a scene like that of, like, you know, like some kind of brutal, like, you know, two things being mashed together that aren't supposed to be mashed together, and like, to kill me, like, it's like that's where my mind goes every single time, and it's just like, oof. So hit extra hard because of that.
Yes.
So
yeah, I mean, it's already pretty hard hitting.
oh yeah, it's horrifying and disgusting. So, but yeah, so I liked it. I understand why it's the most highly rated, and I understand what you're saying about it being like the most digestible. I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
I have surprisingly less to say about it. I was actually going to wonder if you were going to crucify me for that a little bit, but it sounds like we're to some degree on the same.
No, I wanted to talk about this first because I figured it'd be way easier to talk about this movie.
Yeah,
because it's a special effects movie.
It's a special effects movie.
You know, Jeff Goldblum gives it an amazing performance, and I do like the middle part where he like has superpowers. Essentially, that's fun. It's a fun movie that becomes very unfun at the end.
Yeah, it certainly takes
a good kind.
It certainly takes a dive. Yes, like in terms of like goes from ha 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 to oh god.
It's and then he like emerges from the machine, like half machine, and it's just like, and it's just like,
I was thinking about it today. I was like, this is like if Spider-Man kept becoming more Spider.
Yeah. That comic exists, by the way.
Oh, I how could it not? You know,
yeah, exactly. It's a good one. I actually like that one.
So it's basically Spider-Man meets the Fly.
Yeah, pretty much exactly that.
I mean, you have to, right? I mean, like, I feel like once this movie came out, you kind of have to make that comic. Like, if you didn't make that comic, like, how could you not? Yeah, what are you doing? It's just like, it's
Spider-Man.
Because it's like, I mean, him being so like that just reminds me so much of like the beginning of like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, you know, where it's just like, he's all of a sudden, he's like, oh my God, I'm so strong now. You know, it's just like, yeah. But 3 seeds later, you turned into a spider. It's like, come on, let's get to the rest of it, you know?
Yeah. And I looked at the original film, apparently that happens. There is like there's also a spider.
Oh, is it?
There's literally a Spider-Man, I think, in the original film.
Yeah, I kind of
even more on point.
I just kind of skimmed through the
yes,
Wikipedia.
As did I might be wrong about that, but I saw stuff about a spider. So I
saw something about a spider web, and so I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. You know, I'm not.
It seems like the final thing they kill is a spider.
Yeah, I got that impression as well, that it has something to do with a spider. So I don't know if it's just because like he gets caught in like a spider web or something, but anyway.
Sure. Yeah. It seems like that's.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked it. I wasn't like as enthused about it. Like, I don't know, like as maybe I was about Existence.
Well, yeah, no, I get it. I mean, if you know the plot to the movie,
yes,
you know. That's definitely not a movie you want to rewatch.
I had enough out of the first.
I don't think it benefited at all.
Yeah. Now, Videodrome.
Yes, for sure.
Oh boy, so you mentioned last time that Videodrome, because I think to some degree Existence was kind of like a sequel / remake / spiritual successor to Videodrome.
It's just Videodrome with video games.
Yeah. I mean, to a
degree. I mean, I don't want to, oversell it or undersell it here.
I also do want to point out, and I'll jump right into this just because like I noticed this, and I do wonder if you found this as well, but like it does seem like they're at least superficially supposed to be connected, or at least implied to be connected, because you get that line, death to Videodrome, and you of course get, like the death to Allegra Geller, death to, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, it could just be Cronenberg repeating himself, which fine, right? But to some degree it felt like this, like it had to have been intentional to some degree that like the resistance organization in Videodrome must have been related to the resistance organization in Existence. I don't know if
I mean that's possible, I guess. There's certainly I would say Existence is just sort of like the weaker retelling of Videodrome. I don't know.
I would agree with that. And also, so I mean, my headcanon aside, and also my headcanon is shared with many. Apparently a lot of people make that same connection, which I mean, it's not like it's not a brilliant connection or anything. It's pretty obvious like that.
Yeah, well, I also think part of it is just David Cronenberg like kind of does make the same movie over and over. Like he's David Cronenberg for a reason, right? Like his name evokes certain things because he tends to make those kinds of movies for the most part.
Mm-hmm. But to get back to your point, I do think you're right that Videodrome I think the criticism that Videodrome is levying on television and media comes across as more coherent, or at least more correct, seeing it now in the rearview mirror than Existenz did. Because the thing that Existenz was picking at, I feel like, was this idea that as we get closer and closer to like full immersion in video games, that like we're going to blur the lines between reality and fiction. And I mean, maybe we will in 40 years, right? We're not there yet. Yeah. So it doesn't, like, the things that it was picking at and warning about, I don't even know if warning, but like at least exploring, aren't happening and haven't happened yet. But I do feel like the stuff that he's getting at in Videodrome is pretty poignant in the current day. Like, I was watching that, I was just like, you know what? You kind of nailed it with Videodrome, I feel like there is, I think that like what he's, at least what I interpret as what he's trying to get at, and maybe I'm interpreting it just because we're here in 2022 and things are different than they were in 1980, whatever. I feel like he latched onto something, and it did in this case go the way he was expecting. So
interesting perspective on it. Yeah, I didn't get that necessarily, but so, now that you've said that, I definitely see coming from.
If you'll permit me to go a little bit high school English teacher on this movie for a bit, like the theme, especially towards the end of the movie, that I was really, there was something scratching in my brain on that, is it feels like there's some degree of basically him saying, and I mean, to some degree this was actually said in the movie, so it's almost not, I mean, it's not an interpretation so much as just like, I'm reading a quote in a specific way, but the one guy, I can't remember his name, but like the eyeglass salesman guy, who runs Videodrome. Like, he was saying something about, that, using the Videodrome signal to control people, and, it works better, when you kind of like portray it, with violence or whatever it is. Like, that was like the more direct quote. But like, I almost kind of like, in my mind, where my mind went with that was it heard it a little bit more as like, if you give people the thing that they're secretly looking for, the thing that they actually want to see, but like are afraid to tell people that they want to see, and you provide that thing, it makes them more receptive to like being like suggested to, and led a certain way. And, I won't be specific, but like, I feel like we've seen that kind of bear itself out in a lot of things that have happened in the last like 5 years or so.
It's not like it's a new phenomenon, right?
Oh, certainly not. Propaganda has existed forever.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I don't want. So I don't want to pretend that like this was some kind of insane, crazy new thought. But I think that I don't think that has existed. And maybe I'm wrong on this, but I don't feel like that's existed to the degree that it exists today. Like, I feel like because of just the way that we consume media now, like it's easier because people are more plugged in. Like,
Well, it's one of the many works. I mean, this is also the theme of like Serial Experiments Lane, right? Just like the entertainment and like, the internet and television film, right? It's just like another layer of reality, essentially, right?
Yes,
which
yes.
is, true.
And that's the thing though. It's like, so that was actually another bit about it, is the idea that, the media world, like the world that like is being created through television and through specifically television in this case. To some degree, this is also the case with like the internet and stuff like that, like in Serial Experiments Lane. But I think that point of like, and eventually the TV reality and the internet reality becomes the reality for people. And I think that's something that is an idea that, even though it's existed and has been in culture, is something that was not true in the 80s and has become,
it's like the form is new, but the function is the same. You know what I mean? It's like, we've always told, I hate to like regurgitate quotes, but like, we are the stories we tell ourselves, right? Just like, humans have always lied to themselves about what's actually happening around them. And then like pretended like that was reality instead. And like, we certainly have a better we have a greater degree of being able to do that now, right? I would definitely agree with that.
Okay.
I mean, the opiate of the masses, and now, Videodrome is the new, opiate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But although at this point we're way past Videodrome, we're at, internet.
Well, that's the thing, right? This is specifically talking about and I mean, to some degree, television plays a big part into it even today. Television is not.
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah.
Not.
But, I mean, television's on the internet now.
Yes, television is on the internet.
Television is on the internet.
But I feel like today we do have some degree of it's easier to find a reality that fits your own preconceptions.
Yes. No, I think I've talked myself around to agreeing with you.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. And that's something that I think that I don't know if he was specifically getting at that, but there's hints of that in there. And if I really high school English teacher it, I feel like I can craft a view where it's just that's
you are high school English teachering it though.
I am. Yes.
Because what Cronenberg actually cares about was the TV kissing scene.
The TV kissing scene.
Yeah. When he kisses the TV.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And it, kisses him back. That one. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's getting much more into existence and the blurring of the lines between reality and fiction.
Cronenberg cares more about the themes of sex and violence affecting our psyche and the way we integrate technology into that. Sure. Right. But I think he cares more about one half of that equation.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm saying this because I watched his most recent film, Crimes of the Future, which is a weird combo of Videodrome and existence, right? It's very much quintessentially him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it mostly deals with a renegade surgeon who performs black market surgeries on himself to give himself to take out new organs that he's grown because he's a mutant.
Okay.
And it's a performance art thing.
Okay.
And it's just, I don't know. It seems like his concern is more with the transformation almost of the physical form in some ways too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how much it's intentional here.
So I guess what I'll say is I feel like this, I agree with you. I think that if I'm reading Cronenberg and I'm 3 movies in, right? I'm far from an expert, but from what I've seen from Existence and Videodrome, I can certainly see a common thread there. And it sounds like what you're saying is that thread continues. So I'll make an extrapolation here. Is I feel like this is a bit of a Ray Bradbury situation where I mean, Fahrenheit 451, everybody reads that as an indictment of censorship, and Ray Bradbury's no,
exactly, yes,
no, that book is about the TV is bad, and it's just and then people are no, Ray Bradbury, it's not. It's I know you wrote the book and you know what it's about, but you're an idiot. Get out of here. It's about censorship. Just shut up, Ray Bradbury. Go away. And so I feel I know that I'm absolutely doing that here. Because if I take Existence and Videodrome together, I feel it is way more an indictment of technology than it is talking about technology's role in manipulating people, manipulating people. I guess that's the end of the sentence, manipulating people. But that's okay, because I think that's a way more interesting thing than an indictment of technological innovation. I don't really care about that. Shut up, David Cronenberg. Let me tell you what your movie's about.
Yeah. I just, it's hard to tell because I'm reading now about some of the his own quotes on the movie. Mm-hmm. Apparently there was a bunch of different endings, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. Apparently the ending that where James Wood shoots himself was actually James Wood's idea.
Interesting.
Apparently they were going to originally everyone's going to show back up on the set of Videodrome, and then they all have sex, it sounds like. But it's dark, gritty. So that's what I mean. Cronenberg is way more interested in he saw something as a kid. I mean, he literally says that here. Just Cronenberg used to pick up American television studios from Buffalo late at night after Canadian stations had gone off the air, and he worried he might see something disturbing not meant for public consumption. As Cronenberg explained, I've always been interested in dark things and other people's it's he's really about the porn part.
Yeah.
I think he's a little dirtier.
Yeah, and I mean, that obviously that is the surface level theme of this, right?
Yeah, and I think that is the theme he was most interested in.
Well,
despite how awesome, I mean, not to the unintentional if it was that, is still really good here.
Yeah. I mean, when I say high school English teacher, I'm being pretty serious because I feel like a lot of the times when people are like, oh, this is the theme of this book, it's just like, no, it's not. I mean, it's cool that like you can interpret the book in that way, but it's like, it isn't. Come on. Like, it's not. Nobody thinks that, not every single page of the book is a metaphor for, it's like almost nobody writes like that. And if they do, God, it would be exhausting to write a book like that. It's like, exactly. Most people just write shit and like,
the surface is the surface.
The surface is the surface. Like what you see is what you get. And so I 100% think that what I see is what I get with this movie. But I mean, I think what sometimes it is, right? It's just like, I'm looking through this through the lens of, 20 years down the road and 40 years down the road.
I mean, if you're talking about, people treating, the internet and television as more real than, reality. Mm-hmm. This might be a Hatsune Miku situation here because I think we're well there. Mm-hmm. People care more about. Oh God, I hate to like throw out like casual indictments of society that are unjustified, but people care more about Twitter than their next door neighbor, right? Just like
okay, that's what I feel like he's getting at with.
Yeah, that is what he's getting at.
That's what he's getting at, which is like is like I mean to some degree. It's not necessarily not true, but like
it's nostalgia for a day that never existed.
It's like I don't care.
Lie. It's a lie.
It's like I very rarely will side with the Luddite position on anything. So it's just like don't care. I much prefer my interpretation of it. But that's the thing is like but the mark of a good.
Wait, does that mean you're not a Luddite then?
I'm certainly not a Luddite. I don't think that should come as a surprise to anyone.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah.
I mean, are you a Luddite?
No. I mean, I don't know. Kind of, a little bit.
I mean,
cell phones has gone too far.
That just sounds like you're being an old man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Is there a difference? I think that I always appreciate the progress of technology. Sometimes I'm just kind of like, I can't be bothered. But like, the fact that the technology is progressing doesn't make me like, I mean, I'm an introvert, like the fact that like we're getting further away from social interaction, is great for me. I'm just like, cool. The less I have, it's like the more fucking, like you scan grocery store things that I see, the better.
Those are great.
Yeah. So it's just like, I mean, you can't be a Luddite and the two things are incongruous, like you can't like both of those things. So for me, I'm just like, yes, more technology and less interaction. Like the whole, over the course of COVID, I became much more enamored with like DoorDash and shit.
I guess I'm just trying to prepare myself for the day when like I have to buy my groceries from a person again because we can't run the self-checkouts because we don't have the power to do so. If there are even groceries to buy from somebody, you know what I mean?
Okay, Mr. Apocalypse prepper.
Well, I know apocalypse is a very harsh word. What might be like, food scarcity and power scarcity in the coming decades that we have to deal with, right? It's like we're not all gonna die. Like we're not gonna go Mad Max, but like you might not be able to get like stuff shipped from China as easily, 30 years from now, or maybe we'll be fine. Who knows? Literally, but it kind of seems like it's gonna be the worst one.
You know what? All I will say is this. So. Not to get off on the weeds, and I don't even know if we'll
no, it's fine. We can get off on the weeds.
We're off on the weeds, but I feel like I'm always reminded of it was like I can't remember what it was. It was like the report on like manure accumulation in like I think it was like pre-industrial Britain or maybe like around the Industrial Revolution Britain. Where they're like, if this keeps going on in the next, however many years, like, we're going to literally have like, shit up to like the top story, or something like that, and it was like this whole thing. And it's just like, and then, obviously that didn't occur because cars got invented. And, I mean, that comes with this whole.
Oh, no. Yeah, definitely. No,
it's humanity has. Like, there's always basically like,
humanity has always successfully rocket jumped.
Yes.
To a higher place.
Yes. Yes,
But
we've
my
always
God.
somehow managed to be, at the very like
The minute we run into fucking rockets,
rocket is the correct
trouble.
thing. Rocket is the correct metaphor because it's like it is always
there's
like
no ground.
Yeah, it's like at the very last second we're always just like, oh shit, we should probably fix this and then do, but it's just like it always feels like we're narrowly escaping.
Yeah, no, humanity has been rocket jumping for a long time, and like we're really high in the air now. And my God, we need to keep making rockets.
Yes. So,
but maybe we won't.
That being said, back to the movie for a moment. From a practical, from an actual movie perspective. So, I mean, obviously, like this one, I feel like, when you were talking about like the surface level of this, I feel like this one is definitely a bit of a sledgehammer. The thing that really like stuck out to me is like two things. First of all, like he literally puts the gun inside of him. Mm-hmm. I mean, like,
yeah,
that's about as
sex is violence and violence is sex.
It's like that's about as big of a hammer as you could swing in terms of like, hey, the metaphor is he's putting the gun inside of himself, and then when he takes it out, it fuses to his hand, and his hand becomes the gun. Do you guys get it yet? This is about violence. It's like, okay, cool, I get it. I like it. I like it for how heavy-handed it is because it's like, I think it's hard to do heavy-handed like that and still have it be interesting and have it not come across as preachy because it doesn't.
It doesn't come across. Yeah, no.
Like it's still a fun is maybe the wrong word. It's still an interesting movie without coming across as like, even though the metaphors are absolutely, he's literally whipping a flesh TV. Like, I mean, it's not subtle, but it's very good. It's very good.
Cronenberg is not subtle at all.
No, he's not. And this is not subtle, but it works. There is certainly artistry in something.
Oh God, yeah. No, of course. Yeah.
Being not subtle and still being watchable, because I've watched plenty of things that were not subtle and they were not watchable anymore.
And it keeps you guessing.
Mm-hmm. It does. Yeah. There's a lot of twists. There's a lot of things in this that I didn't necessarily see coming, Mm-hmm. And the constant like hallucinations,
Yeah, you never know what's really real.
You never know what's really real. This movie is a mindfuck, and it's a very good, I like mindfucky movies. Like those are the ones that stick with me. I like Existenz for that. This is much more mindfucky, I think, than Existenz, because Existenz I feel like is clearer, whereas this one is like it's at any point in time it's just like he pulls out the gun to shoot like his partners, and I'm like, is he really doing this? Like, and then they're dead, and it's like, oh, he is really doing this. This is really happening.
But then the body shows up in his bed, right, and then it's gone.
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah. It was very easy to be engaged throughout this movie.
Yeah. And Ed Wood, it's like the only thing I know Ed Wood from.
James
me
Wood.
Too. I'm sorry.
James Woods. Yeah. James Woods. That and Family Guy.
Well, that's the first thing I know from is the Family Guy Piece of Candy.
Yeah. Ooh,
as terrible as that is.
Ooh, piece of candy. I know.
Piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. It's like he's like an award-winning, like super talented, famous actor, and it's just like, ooh, piece of candy. We're such troglodytes.
I mean, that's that's nothing wrong with that. I like being a troglodyte. It's fun sometimes.
Ooh, piece of candy.
I do have a complaint, and it's about both this movie and The Fly.
Sure.
So the soundtrack, man, God, I found that intrusive. Like, it's so. Okay, so here's the comparison that I have to make, because I feel like their styles are very similar from a filmmaking perspective. But so Cronenberg and Carpenter, right? Both, I think, especially during this era, like itching at the same kind of like gross practical effects stuff, right? I mean, The Thing, Mouth of Madness are very much in the same vein as a lot of Cronenberg stuff. They're gross. It's not the same themes, but they're similar themes and a lot of similar gross practical effects. But Carpenter, I think you might be aware, is like he did a lot of his own music for his stuff.
Yeah.
And, became a little bit of like an icon for like 80s music. I mean, like, like the intro to Stranger Things is very much based on like Carpenter's
Escape from New York, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, it's like his style is very iconic of the 80s, and it's just like his scores of his own movies like became very iconic of like 80s horror. And I was watching like this movie, and I was frequently taken out of the movie by these like weird, like meandering kind of like orchestrated parts, you know? Mm-hmm. And so I was just like, well, who's this fucking guy? David Shore.
David Shore.
Did fucking Lord of the Rings, which is one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. Like, David Shore, what the fuck were you doing? Like,
well, do you want to know what he did?
What did he do?
He composed the entire thing for orchestra, but then he programmed it into a synthesizer.
Okay.
So that's why you're getting that weird, like, it sounds wrong.
But it's not even that. It's just like the score is just like, you remember when we were talking about Lawrence of Arabia?
Yeah.
And there was that one scene. It's like the scene where he like goes up over the dune or whatever, and it has like the dumbest like score next to it. It's like this really weird thing where it's just like do 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 do. It's like something like that. It's like it's just like this weird like meandering, like it's like a lot of chromaticism, I guess. Maybe it's just like it just like nothing sounds like it blends together. And it just like I was just like, wow, this sucks. Like I don't know what emotion I'm supposed to be feeling here. You know, like I just feel like the only emotion that I feel is distraction from the movie that I'm watching, which a score should never do. A score should only add, never distract. And I feel like there was multiple points where it's like he's using a lot of just like boop 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 boop. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what are you trying to convey here? Like, it doesn't convey eeriness to me. It doesn't convey creepiness. It just conveys being really distracting. And maybe this is just because I have like a music background.
I think it's very much that, because I honestly could not tell you a single thing about any of the music in Videodrome or The Fly for that matter.
Yeah, Fly did it too, less so. Like at first, like the intro to The Fly, I was like, oh, okay, this is good. But like I cannot believe that they hired him to do Lord of the Rings. I don't know how they picked him, because it's like before then he'd never done anything like Lord of the Rings. From what I understand, he'd only done stuff like horror movies, you know, like that was what he was known for. And they fucking hired him to do Lord. I mean, thank God, because that soundtrack rocks. Like,
I mean, he did Silence of the Lambs.
He did do Silence of the Lambs. He did, but like, you know, because like, I mean, you know,
Seven.
He, you know, he's responsible for Into the West, which is quite possibly one of the best pieces of like music scoring ever.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone. Apparently, many people were surprised that they picked him.
I was reading the same thing. It's just like, they're like, why David Jones? So, you know, just very weird to me, because
I think I could hazard a guess, right?
Go for
it.
He
was cheap.
But like, Lord of the Rings wasn't cheap. I mean, like, why would they gone with like I would have expected them to go with like John Williams, you know? Like,
they cut a lot of corners in Lord of the Rings. I mean, did you ever watch the
maybe I'm not as familiar. Maybe I don't.
Did you ever watch the like documentary on like all the actors all the New Zealand actors that got like hired to play parts, and like
no, I didn't. They
screwed all those people over out of a lot of money.
Oh,
right?
Okay. And, like, there's a bigger story here that I'm not.
Yeah. Like they cut corners on. They saved some damn money on that movie.
Which is incredible, because it's such a good like looking.
Well, I mean, it was a huge risk though, right? Remember, especially the first one is like.
No, you're right. I mean, yeah, fantasy.
Like,
fantasy was not big.
Worked. Yeah.
It opened the door for that. Yeah, they did do that. They opened the door for things like, you know, Game of Thrones and, you know, like all the shit we were talking about earlier with the fucking hot D.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's amazing. But like, I could see them because of Peter Jackson, right?
Peter Jackson.
Like Peter Jackson is like a weird schlocky horror director. Why are you hiring him to direct Lord of the Rings?
I mean, you know, I guess on point, right? Because weird schlocky horror director with weird schlocky, you know, like horror composer, and they were just like, yeah, put them together.
Sure, whatever. Yeah, I'm sure these guys will work. David Cronenberg likes them, so.
Oh God! So yeah, I found the score very distracting, and it annoyed the crap out of me.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, I can't say I did, but the score is very highly rated. It seems people seem to enjoy it, but. I could see. I mean, being in a movie is different from it being good, though. You know, if it distracts.
That's the thing. It's just like, and I can understand where some people would just not care or be like, oh, it's good. But like for me, I don't know. I don't like that. I find that like I guess I just prefer Carpenter style, and like, you know, it just sounds wrong in the, like, I could imagine that movie scored by John Carpenter, and just like the movie would ultimately, yeah, like to me it would be better because it would have a Carpenter score with it. So, you know, there we go, personal preference, no accounting for taste. But I didn't like it. It annoyed me. I really
did you
was
like
annoyed.
Was the orchestral stuff better for you or the electronic stuff?
I just like, I don't like his, it has nothing to do with,
it's just all of it. Okay.
It's his choice of like notes. Like it's literally his choice of melodies.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
In that case, like it's not necessarily that like Carpenter uses synths a lot, you know, and that even if it was synthesized orchestral, it sounds orchestral, you know, like it sounds like an orchestra playing a bunch of random notes, which does nothing for me. I'm just like you can do that a little bit, and like in certain situations that can work, but like this is I'm gonna rant about movie scores just for a tiny bit more than I've already ranted about movie scores.
Go for it.
But like, if a movie score should either do one of two things. Either it should be like unintrusive background music that like it doesn't draw attention to itself, it just like is, you know, it's just something to fill the space when you don't want it to just be quiet, you know, which is fine, you know, like, and some movie scores are very much like that, where it's just like it's just filling the background, you know, it's filling out the rest of the frequency space so that like you're not just hearing background noise. That's one thing. Or it should tell you what you're supposed to be feeling, you know, which is like a very, you know, John Williams like style of, and I like John Williams a lot, but like, you know, it's like, you know, you think of like Star Wars, right? It's just like, you know, Luke Skywalker walks up, you know, and sees the two suns, and like imagine the score, and you're like, oh, I'm supposed to be feeling like da, 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 da. And it's like, you know the emotions you're supposed to be feeling in that moment. It's not subtle. It's very much communicating. Here's what this character is thinking without them talking. I feel like this score does neither of those things. It does not tell me what I'm supposed to be feeling in that moment, and it is very upfront and distracting. It's like, hi, I'm the movie score. I'm doing something right now. And it's just like, fuck off. Go away. I don't want to listen to you. Like, and here's the thing. Maybe that's intentional, and maybe there's just something that I'm missing. And again, you know, as you said, we're troglodytes, blah, blah, blah. But like, I don't get it. I don't get if Carpenter, if Cronenberg like listened to that, he was just like, oh, that's what I was looking for. Great. Then me and Cronenberg have a different perception of what.
Yeah, I think you do, because that is what he wanted.
It is what he wanted. He put it in the movie. So like, or maybe he was just like, well, but I mean, he hired him again, you know, he hired him for Videodrome. He hired him for The Fly. So it's like, you know, He clearly likes the guy and likes what he does with his works, but it didn't resonate with me enough to like take me out of the movie and annoy me, which is never something that I want the score.
Yeah, that's not what you want. Yeah.
So
that's unfortunate.
Anyway, this is the long Jason ranting about the score, but yes, but otherwise, Videodrome, man, whew, that one's gonna stick with me. That one has more implications and things that I think are interesting, and I really enjoyed it. Again, not as Cronenberg-y as I was expecting. I mean, obviously, like, the gun thing was, you know, gross, but
you've seen the flying Videodrome at this point. It doesn't get more Cronenberg-y. You've seen
this is as Cronenberg-y as it gets. Okay. Yeah. So I guess The Fly is really when people say Cronenberg, that's what they're thinking of. And I guess the end of Videodrome, where like the eyeglass salesman like turns into like fucking mush, basically.
Yeah.
That was pretty Cronenberg.
I mean, you should watch Society. I think that's what it's called.
Society.
Yeah, there we go. You'd like that. That one might actually give you more of what you're looking for, if that still wasn't enough Cronenberg for you.
I assume also
it's not Cronenberg.
Oh, Society. 1989?
That's it. Yep.
American body horror.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. So I guess I was also going to talk about this. So let's talk about it, because it's apropos. Because Cronenberg is very associated with the body horror genre.
Yes.
As a major popularizer of it. And I mean, to some degree, I think that this is also me blurring genres together a little bit, because I don't really care about the nuances between them, whereas the people that do care enough that they're splitting them. But like, again, I'm bringing up John Carpenter, but like, I feel like John Carpenter to me is the like, I'm surprised that like when we talk about like Cronenbergy, we're not talking about Carpenter-y, because Carpenter to me, like The Thing and Mouth of Madness, like way more gross body horror. And I don't know if that's actually body horror. I think what I understand, because I was doing a little bit of Wikipediaing before this podcast to make sure I got my ducks in a row, is that people don't really consider what Carpenter does to be body horror. It's horror and it's gross, but it's not body horror, because it's not something that's happening necessarily to a, like, it's not like an internal thing, it's an external thing. That's what I understand to be the difference, or at least what the distinction people make is. But
yeah,
just weird to me that like Carpenter isn't the one that's more associated with like super gross practical effects, because for me it's like I was expecting worse, I guess. And
I mean, it's because
go ahead.
Carpenter wasn't popular, right? Like no one, like people didn't like The Thing when it first came out, right? As opposed to Cronenberg. And then Carpenter's also known for like Escape from New York stuff, right? He has other things that people will say, oh yeah, like he's the Snake Plissken guy.
Ah, okay.
You know, and it's only in modern times that people have really come on to The Thing, and that's what he's been really known for, I think, personally.
Okay. I guess that's fair. Yeah, because like for me, it's just like, I mean, having watched not many Carpenter films, you know, but like the ones that are particularly gross, namely The Thing and Mouth of Madness, like
those are probably his two grossest movies.
Yeah, and so it's like I come at that from that angle where I'm like, because
you're thinking about that, but like, look, Assault on Precinct 13, Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah,
right? I mean, he's got some humor, schlocky, as well as his horror.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and I guess that's kind of The Thing.
Yeah, and also I think Cronenberg is more thematic as a director. He's a little more artsy, you know, if that can be, you know, said about his movies.
And again, this is I think the problem is because I have a very narrow lens.
Yes, you've seen the two ones that aren't like that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, The Thing, I guess because The Thing is just such a masterpiece that like it's very hard for me to, like, that's really what I know John Carpenter for.
Yeah, but like John Carpenter does not have any movies. Okay, that's kind of a lie. John Carpenter's just not as popular. And I think that's what it really comes down to.
I think it is.
Right? Everything else that I've said is kind of like tangential. It's popularity that really determined it.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm looking and like genuinely,
because like Prince of Darkness is very similar to Videodrome in a lot of ways. Like it's very much, you know, technology interfering with like things. It's not the same, but there's some elements there. Mm-hmm. But again, like, you know, who's seen Prince of Darkness? Like even Carpenter fans sometimes don't watch that one, right? So
yeah, it's interesting because it's like I'm looking at his you know movies and like. I've seen The Thing, and I've seen the Mouth of Madness, and I think that's it.
Yep.
I haven't even seen Escape from New York, so it's just like, I mean, that's, and you know, I mean, clearly not as like, you know, Cronenberg's done stuff like popular stuff more recently, you know, so I think in a lot of ways probably the more accomplished director in a lot of ways, but you know, Carpenter is just kind of like, you know, I come at him with a very different lens because I've seen his. I think he's probably one of his best movies, which is The Thing. So
I mean, John Carpenter is I mean, I love all of his movies. He's probably one of my favorite directors. So
interesting.
It's hard for me to even like.
There's probably another episode in there where we need to watch more John Carpenter.
Like, I just like, it's like Dark Star, great. Assault on Precinct 13, great. Halloween, it's pretty good. The Fog, I don't think I've seen The Fog. Escape from New York, amazing. The Thing, amazing. Christine, amazing. Starman, didn't see it. Big Trouble in Little China. Awesome. Prince of Darkness, amazing. They Live, so good. Haven't seen a Memoirs of Invisible Man. It looks pretty bad though. I'm gonna be honest. That looks like a big stinker. Mouth of Madness, amazing. Village of the Damned, yeah, that's a good one. Escape from LA. I love Escape from LA, even if people don't like it. I have not seen Vampires. Ghost of Mars is terrible, and I have not seen The Ward. What the hell is this? I know he'd made a movie this recently, 2010.
Yeah, that's the thing. I also didn't know. I thought he had stopped kind of like directing at a certain point.
Okay. Reception, not very good. Yeah. We
ended
up swinging back around to Carpenter. You know, those two directors, I confuse them all the time, honestly.
I think it's understandable. Yeah. So I mean, I guess, like, you know, very, like, now that I've seen a few movies, like, I mean, I should probably watch more of his other stuff, like, because
Cronenberg, you mean, right?
Cronenberg, yes. Yeah, sorry, to come back.
Yeah,
like,
because we have...
There's so many...
We've back and forth.
We have back and forth, as we do. I know that, like, I know Eastern Promises is good. I know History of Violence is good. Like, it's like these are movies that I should have seen and just never got around to. So those will certainly be ones that are on my list of things that I need to see. Watch more Cronenberg movies. I need to get more Cronenberged up. But yeah, so I guess, I was a little surprised by, other than The Fly, which was was exactly what I was looking for with Cronenberg. Like, none of these were as Cronenberg as I was expecting Cronenberg to get, based on my Rick and Morty experience.
I was about to say, it's like if that's what you're going to think of as Cronenberg, that's way more extreme than anything you'll ever see.
I know, right? But I will say though, I actually found Videodrome's effects really, like, because like The Fly was disgusting. And very good, but like all the scenes with like the TV of like, like the guns stretching out from it. And like, I was just like, Videodrome felt like he was really pushing the limits on that one to some degree. Like, there was things in there where I was just like, I'm starting to see like modern ideas come through in Videodrome that I wasn't necessarily, like, The Fly was a very, very, very good 80s movie. Whereas like Videodrome, I was just like, this is getting into like 90s and 2000s type of like ideas and effects that I'm pretty interested in.
Yeah, no, I think Videodrome is definitely where he like hit upon a lot of really good themes about where society was going. It just, he did it by accident.
Yeah.
He was like, people jack off too much. But it's like, no, actually, people just are on the internet too much in general.
Yeah. And more interesting directing, I feel like. I had there's very much of a feeling of like, this is getting much more into like 90s and 2000s, like directing styles. Versus the 80s, that like, because the Fly still felt very 80s, whereas like this was starting to get into like, if you had released this, 1994, I wouldn't have been surprised. You didn't release it in 1994, but like the fact that like it was, in the, I guess late 80s? No, early 80s, 1983. So yeah, really felt like he was starting to push the envelope in there. That like there was, he was ahead of his time on this one.
Yes. Yeah.
And also Debbie Harry from Blondie.
Oh yeah.
And Toronto. So it's ticking all the boxes. It's great. So yeah, of the two of them, I certainly preferred Videodrome. I will say, like, of the three movies, to kind of make this a little bit of like a part 2 episode to the previous one.
Yeah.
I feel like I liked Existenz the most out of all of these movies, like as a movie.
Interesting.
I feel like that was the one where I was just like, I was the most interested in what was going on. I think the themes in this are the most interesting and raise the most interesting questions. But like as a movie, as like something to just watch, like I could see myself watching Existenz again. I could also see myself to some degree watching this movie again. I don't know that I would ever watch The Fly again.
I definitely think that, yeah, Existenz to some degree does hit that sweet spot between like depth and watchability. Mm-hmm. Like it's much more clearly stating its thesis as opposed to Videodrome, which is, not purposefully obscuring it, but like, doing its best job to confuse you.
Yes. It's being a mindfuck on purpose.
Yeah. Whereas I think Existenz has more like character focused mindfucks, and the actual plot is relatively, solid.
Yeah. And the premise is just really interesting. Yeah, even if it's just like, it's not saying as many interesting things as Videodrome is. The premise itself, I do really enjoy.
More relevant for sure, too.
For sure. So yeah, thank you for fucking
of course.
Cronenberging me up.
Cronenberg.
This was fantastic.
I couldn't believe you hadn't seen any Cronenberg movies before now.
I'm garbage. I mean, what can I say?
Terrible.
I'm a terrible garbage person.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, now you're better. You fixed it. You've gotten some Cronenberg.
I've wiped off like 3 or 4 of like the rotted banana peels, and now I'm somewhat better of a human being. And
there you go.
It's great. So yeah. Fuck. What else? Is there anything else to say about these movies?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. All right. Well, we're gonna figure out something for next time, as we do. But yeah,
you guys will find about that later.
Yeah. I mean, in
Stay
the future,
tuned.
Yeah. Stay tuned. See ya.
Yeah, see ya.